So we came up with the rules of this game in conjunction with some very successful hospitality business owners. These are hospo business owners that own 40, 50, 60 venues, and so they have to apply frameworks very similar to this to businesses that they're acquiring. And so they would buy businesses that have some weaknesses in this analogy, and they can plug those weaknesses and then essentially quite easily turn the business around. So if you understand this analogy, it's probably going to help with success in some way. Something that has helped our understanding over the years in business is treating it more like a game. The reason why I think treating business like a game really helps is because you can focus on the key actions within the game that make you better at the game and can get you winning more. And it also helps us form some really nice analogies of how to play the game well. And that's essentially how we got to the topic of this video, which is the rules of the game. And this is the rules of the game for venues that want to grow and scale the private function or private event side to their hospitality business. When I say that, I mean venues that might want to do more birthday parties, corporate meetings, corporate team building events, baby showers, bar mitzvahs, anything and everything that their space could be used for, which is going to be private. Could be private dining, private parties, private functions. And we're going to be breaking down the rules of this game in an analogy using this iPad here. So I'm going to jump into it, and we'll go through some slides and give you our perspective on what we think these venues need to focus on in order to be successful and have a flourishing private event business. So as you can see, what we have here is we have a machine down the bottom right. And in this analogy, this is a money printing machine. And the only way you make money is by getting water droplets to this money printing machine. So as we move on to the next slide, this will start to make some sense. Okay, so now you see we have a bucket. Okay, and this bucket is full of water and it has no way of escaping. And we're going to call this bucket the market bucket. Okay, so within the market bucket, what you could think of this bucket as is the people in your local area who could do business with you. Every venue has their own unique market because every venue can service a different type or a different mixture of types of private functions and private events within their space. So think of this market bucket as the people in your local area who could do business with you. For example, let's say we own a venue that does a lot of baby showers. This market bucket is going to be the people in the local area who are having baby showers who could do business with you. These aren't necessarily the people who do have a baby shower with you, but they're people who you could do business with. If you do more types of private functions like birthday parties, corporate events, your market bucket is going to be very different to someone that just does baby showers and vice versa. Also, your market bucket is going to be impacted by population density. So if most of your business comes from locals and you live in a very small town, then your market bucket is going to be much smaller than the market bucket of a venue in a very heavily populated area. And they're going to have a much more plump market bucket because there's more people that they can service. Okay. This doesn't solve our problem though, because we can't get water from that market bucket into our money printing machine. So what we also have is a Goodwill Bucket, okay? So the Goodwill Bucket is made up of people from your local market who would do business with you, meaning you've built some goodwill with them. Maybe they walk past your venue every day and they are going to be planning an event and you're on their psychological shortlist of one of the venues that they would have an event with, okay? So just to clarify, your market bucket is going to be people in the local area who could have an event with you, and the Goodwill Bucket is people from the local area who would have an event with you, meaning they have some goodwill built up with your business. Maybe they're a pre-existing customer, maybe someone close to them has said some good things about you, so they're now in your Goodwill Bucket as a business, so there's somebody who would have an event with you. But we still have the problem because even though we've got water in the market bucket and water in the Goodwill Bucket, we still don't have a way to get any of that water into our money printing machine. So we move on to the next portion of this, which is a tap. And there is a tap between your market bucket flowing into your Goodwill bucket, okay? And this is going to be made up mostly of positive interactions and positive word of mouth. So the better your business is, the more goodwill you're going to have in your local market, because you're delivering a really good core product and service of what your business does. And so all of the people who experience that are most likely going to have some good things to say. The better you are at delivering the core of your business, the more fruitfully your tap is going to be flowing from your market bucket into your Goodwill bucket. And you can only get water droplets from your Goodwill bucket into your money printing machine. So those venues that are very good at what they do, they deliver an astounding product or service, they are going to have a very, very plump Goodwill bucket. There is lots of potential business waiting in their local market who would do business with them. But then there is also a second tap. This is a smaller tap, and it is another way to get water droplets from your market bucket into your Goodwill bucket. And this is going to be through awareness marketing, like branding campaigns and running testimonial advertising and letting people in your local area know that, hey, even though you don't know our business, here is some branding and some marketing which is going to actually generate some goodwill in your local marketplace, even without positive interactions or positive word of mouth impacting that person. So it is another tap which can flow into your Goodwill bucket. And how do we get water droplets from our Goodwill bucket into our money printing machine? We have a tap, and this tap is what we've called organic. Okay, so you can only get water droplets from your Goodwill bucket into your money printing machine, and that can happen organically, meaning people just call you up and they say, hey, I'm looking for a function space. I've had a function with you before, really want to do it again. What is your availability? Okay, so business just buys from you. So you don't have to sell them. This is business that just call you up and say, hey, I've got money for you, here it is. That is what we call business that comes organically. And that's really the nicest type of business. It's the easiest to close because you don't really have to close it at all. It just comes free flowing. And so the better you are at delivering your core business, the more organic flow from your Goodwill bucket into your money printing machine you're going to have. Okay, so first tap to extract your goodwill from your market is So the first step to extract goodwill into revenue generated is going to be organically. The next way that you can extract some of that goodwill and put it into your money printing machine is direct response marketing. So running advertising to people in your Goodwill bucket, and then they engage with the advertising. They already have pre-built goodwill with your business. So these people are very easy to market to, and they're very easy to close because your marketing hits them at the right time. The rapport is already built with your business, so it is much easier to market and sell if you are very good and have a plump goodwill bucket. So you can turn on direct response marketing and extract revenue from your goodwill bucket, okay? But this falls into an interesting part of this game where those venues that have a plump goodwill bucket, they have so much more opportunity to use direct response marketing, but they're also going to have a much more fruitful flow of organic business from their goodwill bucket into their money printing machine. So those venues out there that have strong reputations, aka plump goodwill buckets, are always going to have an easier time in business. But this is where the analogy starts to change a little bit, because the goodwill bucket also has a hole in it, okay? And this is what's going to remove the amount of water in your goodwill bucket. And it is negative interaction and negative word of mouth, okay? So if you fundamentally are making some mistakes, or you're really not as good as you could be when it comes to delivery of the core business that you have, you can generate negative word of mouth. And negative word of mouth is about 5 times as potent as positive word of mouth, okay? So this creates a hole in your goodwill bucket. And so the ratio of inflow into your goodwill bucket versus outflow has to be positive, or at least neutral. If you are getting a lot of negative word of mouth, your goodwill in your local marketplace is going to be depleting at a rate in which is faster than what it is growing, which means that your marketing is going to be increasingly expensive and harder to do, and the amount of organic business that you have coming into your venue is going to be decreasing as well. So really blocking negative word of mouth the best you can is very, very, very important. And having as much positive word of mouth as you can is very, very, very important. Okay, so this is really the analogy of the rules of the game, right? You all have a marketplace, you all have a Goodwill bucket. The better off that you can be of extracting goodwill from your marketplace, getting it into your Goodwill bucket, is most likely going to be down to how good you are at delivering, aka generating positive word of mouth. Once you have that, you then need to mitigate your negative word of mouth to really plug that hole. And then you're going to get organic business flowing into your money printing machine. But you can also layer on top of that a direct response marketing campaign, which is going to be much cheaper and easier to do the more goodwill you have in your local market. So those venues that have plump Goodwill buckets are going to be the venues that are performing best and stick around in the long run. So focus on the core delivery of your product. And this is really an analogy that's been stress tested by a lot of very successful hospitality business owners, and they have added to this analogy, and we've put our own spins on this analogy as well. But it is pretty concise and pretty sound, and this is really the rules of the game. So if you can apply this analogy to your own business, you might be able to start to get some clarity on what you need to improve on, or what the key areas of focus are going to be moving forward. So I hope that helps somebody out there. If you like this video, leave a comment below. Also give us a like, that'll be amazing. And also subscribe, would appreciate that very, very much. So cheers for your time.